Hey Luke, do you like women?
No comment.
Well, then you'll love this news from The Quartering. Furiosa was the worst performing film for Memorial Day weekend in 30 years. It needs over 500 million just to break even after marketing. People are sick of female protagonists. What do you think, Luke? Do you think people have had enough of women in their films?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No. What was it? Wait, what was the highest grossing movie last year? Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that, yeah, Furiosa failed because, it's a woman in the movie. And not because, like, in general, nobody really cares that much about Mad Max.
Also, I think it's because of Mel Gibson, his history of anti-Semitism.
Okay, yeah, sure. And, after what happened on October the 7th, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Like, people aren't standing for it anymore. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke. And this week we are celebrating the 20-year anniversary of the movie Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban?
Sure thing, Michael. So yes, as you said, it's a 20-year anniversary of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, or as I like to say, Azkaban.
Oh, okay, because I said Azkaban.
Yeah, well, either is fine.
Yeah. I also said expecting fat boners instead of expecto patronus.
Yeah, this book came out in 1999, and because of J.K. Rowling, her tendencies, shall we say,
yes,
something must have been happening in the news regarding Azerbaijan. Anyway, so Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is a 2004 fantasy film directed by Alfonso Cuarón from a screenplay by Steve Kloves, based on the 1999 novel of the same name by J.K. Rowling. It is a sequel to Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which apparently was the greatest movie ever, from what I recall.
Yes.
Anyway, so this movie stars Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, Robbie Coltrane, Michael Gambon, Richard Griffiths, Gary Oldman, Alan Ruckman, Fiona Shaw, Maggie Smith, Timothy Spall, David Thewis, Emma Thompson, and Julie Walters. It was released on the 31st of May 2004 in the United Kingdom, so yeah, just about 20 years ago, and the 4th of June 2004 in the United States. So yeah, a few days later. And Michael, this is funny. Can you guess what the budget is for Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban? Sorry, Azkaban.
I don't know. See, again, it's annoying because in my head I actually think this would have cost... this is going to be maybe stupid. I think this would have cost surprisingly less money than maybe the other two movies either side of it, because Alfonso Cuarón is a bit of a kind of indie director. So I'm thinking maybe he was like, I don't need loads of money. But with all that said, I have no frame of reference. So I'm just going to say 80 million.
Oh, Michael, the thing is, I said it's funny because it's actually 130.
Okay.
Which is, of course, the figure I mentioned before.
Oh, did you? Okay.
With Fall Guy,
Yeah, you did. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. What about the box office? How much did Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban make? Well, it must have done well because they made 5 more of these,
Yeah. So it's got to have made at least twice as much as 130 million. So it's got to have made at least 260 million. So it's all like this was back in the day when films didn't make $1 billion, even Harry Potter films. But I feel like it must have made kind of close, is my logic, because like these films were big. Like these films were a big deal.
They were a big deal, yes.
So I'm gonna go for what I usually do when I'm thinking like, well, I don't think this was the era of like reliable 1 billions.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go for 800 million.
Oh wow, that is a fantastic guess.
Oh, lovely.
That is great stuff, Michael. Well done, because the box office is 804 million. Yeah, obviously you went for a nice round number, so but still a very, very good guess. So, Michael, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Did you like this movie?
Well, the short answer is yes. I have complex feelings about this film because the one thing that should be said right away, I'm sure we'll get into this at some point, is that Alfonso Cuarón is what they call in the business a director. No, he's someone who obviously has a lot of talent as a filmmaker compared to Christopher Columbus and David Yates, who are either side, who I think it's fair to say, I mean, Christopher Columbus has like his own style, or like his own kind of films he does, which ironically are not really Harry Potter films, but like they're both kind of the sort of studio directors where, which you contrast to people like your Quentin Tarantinos and your Christopher Nolans and things like that. Alfonso Cuarón has his own unique style. And that's something that's like one can appreciate objectively. I think objectively in terms of filmmaking skill, this is probably the best Harry Potter film ever. But I do think this film has a few areas of the plot that disappoint me. Nothing that really makes it bad. Like, I don't think there's anything in the plot where I'm like, oh no, that just ruins it. But there's like several areas where I'm like, oh, I feel like that could have been done better. But I definitely like it. So there we go. My one-word answer is yes.
Yes. The thing is about this movie, and I contrast that with the Chamber of Secrets, is that I feel like this adaptation elevates the material. Like Alfonso Cuarón really does elevate what is in this movie or in the book.
I will say I have no memory. I guess you probably boned up a bit on this. Did you, or do you just have such a good memory of the book because you're such a big Harry Potter fangirl?
Well, I do. It's a bit of both. I did see the differences between the movie and the book, which we will go into, because there are quite a few differences. Unlike,
well, so this is when, like, because obviously the
as
first,
I was about to explain,
yes, they started actually doing adaptation at this point.
Yes, exactly. This was an adaptation rather than the Chamber of Secrets and the Philosopher's Stone, which was just let's throw in everything from the book, which didn't really make for good movies. In my opinion, it wasn't a good adaptation.
Well, at this point, it would have been impossible because obviously the books. I think like Chamber of Secrets and Philosopher's Stone were like 200. The book, if I remember, was like 300 pages, and then obviously after that, it got insane.
Yes, and we all know why it got insane.
Yes,
but J.K. Rowling decided she didn't need editors. But yeah, the thing is, this book right here, I have not read it, but what I can tell from watching this movie is there are some issues with the plot. There are some issues, you could say nitpicks, but it's larger than that. Plot holes.
Yeah.
There are some unsatisfying moments, but the thing is, I think Alfonso Cuarón like elevates what he had to work with, and he does that with very very nice pacing, which is in direct contrast to Chamber of Secrets, and he also does it, I think, with a very nice tone. As well, a very good tone, which we'll talk about, the shift in tone. And you contrast that again to the Chamber of Secrets, which was just, we'll just throw in everything from the book. The material was not elevated. In fact, maybe the material was, I think, made worse. Because we talked about with the Chamber of Secrets how, it was a very interesting mystery, very interesting premise. Like, oh, who's trying to open the Chamber of Secrets and what's the monster inside? There's a monster in Hogwarts. It's a very nice idea. And the problem is, again, the book just, the movie just does not execute that well. Here, again, I think the mystery isn't as interesting regarding Sirius Black, but I think what we actually see is a much better movie because it's a better adaptation, because the pace is better, the tone is better, things are left out. So overall, do I like this movie? Yeah, I like it, and it's no surprise people say this is the best Harry Potter movie.
Bah.
What?
I said bah because I assumed you were going to say that you also think it's the best Harry Potter movie.
We haven't reviewed all of them, of course.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah, we've only reviewed the first three, but yeah, this is the best out of the three we have reviewed. Again, because it's, you're watching a movie and you have to, not just consider like all the like, oh, does this make sense? Does this make sense? It's like the flow of the movie, and this is a lot better because Chamber of Secrets absolutely jam packed with stuff, and I was just like overwhelmed trying to keep up with it all. I really like the way this movie goes about things, but again, I do think in actual fact the mystery isn't as interesting, and some of the the plot points, particularly towards the end with the time machine, that is a bit shit. It is. It's a bit of a shit plot device. Oh, we have a time machine now.
Yes.
Great. Oh, right. Okay.
Well, as long as the wider series does a really good job at handling the implication of having time travel, which I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Yeah. What happens in Order of the Phoenix again?
I guess. Yeah. I mean that's something else, which is I don't know, when we get onto the time travel stuff, I guess we'll talk about that. Erstwhile, we always have nitpicks, don't we?
Yes. So I have two. What about you?
I've only got one.
Okay,
so I think it means I go first. Yes. Yeah. So there's probably a few more I easily could have found, and this is like one right away, which is that Harry asking when he initially finds out about Sirius Black from, oh god, what's Arthur Weasley? That's it. He's like, what does Sirius Black have to do with me? But the thing is, he's already found out that like Sirius Black is a massive Voldemort supporter. So just based on that, like obviously it's to set up the mystery of why he actually has a direct interest in Harry, but immediately be like, well, if someone's a Voldemort supporter, they're obviously going to be in some way relevant to Harry because the last Voldemort supporter tried to kill him, Quirrell. So it just seems like one of those situations where it just doesn't, like, you can tell the film has him say that because the film knows there's more to be revealed, but as an actual character, if you knew that your nemesis, like a massive follower of your nemesis, had escaped, you'd be like, well, yeah, obviously that has an implication for me. So it wasn't realistic that Harry was like, what does this have to do with me?
No, that's I guess that makes sense, yeah. So my first nitpick is just, yes, things in this Wizarding universe don't make sense. Like, why is there a bus? There's no need for public transport in the Wizarding world.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
with flu powder. I mean, like, that's the thing they've done. Like, every single time anybody in the Harry Potter series ever travels anywhere other than, like, a portkey or flu powder, like, basically one of the instant transportation methods, you're just like, why would they do that?
Yes. And also, my second... Oh, sorry. In addition to that, just things not making sense. That there's a monster book which tries to eat Harry. Again, it's just... isn't that a neat idea? Isn't that a weird and wonderful thing? But, in reality, the practical use of that is quite low. And also, my second nitpick is Harry, again, at one point in the movie, he takes Hermione's wand and uses it, and, again, spells are done without talking, just the lack of consistency regarding wand usage.
There's a guy who's, like, stirring his tea without even using a wand as well.
Mm-hmm,
in the leaky cauldron.
I mean, it's just frustrating, really. It's just like like it takes you out of it because wands are very important until they're not. Anyway, so let's get into the plot of The Prisoner of Azkaban. So Harry Potter, Ron, and Hermione return to Hogwarts for their third year of study, where they delve into the mystery surrounding an escaped prisoner who poses a dangerous threat to Harry. That's the thing, they didn't really delve into it, just like, and this is what you're going to talk about later, just things happen to them rather than them actively investigating stuff. I mean, think about Hermione, she does fuck all in this movie. She's just going to 2 classes at once. She's doing fuck all until the end.
That's why she could afford to do the 2 classes, because she had so much extra time from all the plot she wasn't doing.
I mean, the same thing with Ron, at least he's complaining about his rat. Which, it has something to do with the plot. So Harry embarks on his quest to uncover the truth about his past. Again, he doesn't really do that. He doesn't really embark. Like, he does one thing where he goes into the
Leaky Cauldron. I'm calling everything the Leaky Cauldron. It's not Leaky Cauldron. It's somewhere else, but it's in Hogsmeade. Yeah,
Hogsmeade, and to find out what happened regarding Sirius Black and his parents, including the connection that Sirius Black has to Harry and his deceased parents. Well, he finds it out there. Of course, Sirius Black is his godfather. And not a lot happens in this movie. I think so much is cut, and like the final day of events. Do you know when that starts in the movie in terms of? You
know what? I think I do. Is it an hour and 25 minutes?
Yeah, an hour and 20. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, an hour and 20 minutes is when Hermione threatens Malfoy.
Yes, because see, it's interesting. You and I had, because it's not a coincidence that I knew. I mean, I guess I got it 5 minutes off, but it's not a coincidence because I think you and I had the exact same thought process. Which I was thinking, like, that's basically when the film starts to end, pretty much. Because obviously it's the point they go back to at the end. I was like, wow, it feels like the film's starting to end really early.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like, not a lot happens in it. A lot is cut, which we'll get into. But again, I think that is fine. It's not really an issue with the movie.
I guess so. Obviously, it should be established we're not what they call in the business purists. Like, there's people who, and you get this with a lot of fandoms like Lord of the Rings as well. There's people who think the fact that a director would dare cut anything is like offensive to them.
In terms of the story, the mystery is quite intriguing. You got nice little bits thrown in throughout the movie, like Lupin when he sees the moon. I like that. That's it. There's again just like subtle things like that. When he's doing the Bogart thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Because there is a mystery in this. Well, there's a few mysteries, I guess. Because obviously there's the mystery of like what's Lupin and stuff like that. Even though, as we pointed out, like the characters aren't that active in uncovering the mystery, there are like unfolding mysteries occurring.
The mystery is the main mystery. What's going on with Sirius Black? That's the main mystery.
Yes, which is it is good because like one thing I like, and I was actually I decided to watch and I might as well mention this now. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch that bloody Secrets of Dumbledore movie because I was like, there's some Harry Potter stuff I haven't watched, I might as well tick it off. And one thing I was thinking, it's like a very small thing in the grand scheme of things, but the fact that in the Harry Potter films, in fact always, the title of the film is very directly what the film's about in a way that's kind of like, it's kind of nice because it speaks to a focus. Like this film is about the Prisoner of Azkaban. The Chamber of Secrets was about the Chamber of Secrets, and it's like that for every single one of them. And then you got like the Fantastic Beasts films where it's like the Secrets of Dumbledore. It's like it's not really about that at all. In fact, I don't even know what Dumbledore's secrets are. So yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate that this film has such a singular focus where it's just like, you know from the title it's about the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it's about the Prisoner of Azkaban. That's all it's really about. But that's fine. Again, that's fine. Also, I like when Snape does the werewolf lesson again. And Hermione, of course, says she doesn't need to be so literal. Anyway, it's just
I also kind of like how, like, from our perspective, like, it's kind of obvious because, like, we don't see every single lesson they have. From her perspective, it's like, that's not as significant because, like, she would have had hundreds of lessons, I guess, or at least dozens.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
So, I guess it makes her smarter then, that she, picked it out.
Yeah. So, let's talk about the Quarant shift, Michael, because we talked about, the plot, how it's, it's a bit thinner, and that's fine. But also, compared to, say, the Chamber of Secrets, it's a lot more trimmed down and streamlined. But also, what Alfonso Cuarón brought to the Harry Potter series, I guess, was a difference in tone. And this is from Wikipedia. The Prisoner of Azkaban is credited for making a notable shift in the franchise's tone and directing style, and is often regarded by critics and fans alike as the best Harry Potter film.
I say release the Columbus cut. I would actually be really interested to see whether or not, because like obviously there's one explanation which would just be that the films start to get darker because they're getting older and Voldemort is actually coming to power and stuff like that, and that it was inevitable it would feel darker. It would be interesting to see how like the same content would have been handled if it had been done by Columbus.
It feels, I guess, grittier, and darker, to use those terms. And
yes.
Yeah, again, it makes sense with the kids growing up. Real life starts to feel more real. It starts to feel darker. The loss of innocence, etc. Also, I think it's just a better tone overall for for these movies. So Prisoner of Azkaban was the first to extensively use real life locations as well. As much of the first two films had been shot in the studio. Again, in terms of making it feel more real, that's a great way to do it. Director of photography Michael Serrazin considered the story much darker compared to its two predecessors. Yeah, I guess it is kind of darker, although, to be honest, like the Chamber of Secrets, you could make that quite dark, there's a monster that's going to kill all the mudbloods, hiding in Hogwarts, and Slytherin. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty dark concept, honestly. So I don't necessarily agree with that. So he employed moody lighting. This is the director of photography, with more shadows. He used a variety of wide-angle lenses to amplify Hogwarts, its prominence in the story, and only used close-ups sparingly. To set this spookier atmosphere, which I think we can see. Yeah, it's more useful to what you're trying to do with the story, and of course the overall, I guess, tone of the film series. This is how Harry Potter should be, rather than the Chamber of Secrets and Philosopher's Stone. And maybe it's easy to say that because obviously we're watching this as adults, but there's a reason, I think, why. It's not just like, oh, we're not kids anymore, so we don't like the more kid-friendly tone of the first two movies. Objectively, it's better. I mean, you, of course, like the first two movies.
Yeah, so I'm a little baby.
You're wrong.
Yes,
and that's the difference, right?
No, yeah, I can understand that I'm wrong. I mean, so for me, I do like, we don't want to be too Zack Snydery here. I think that, like, I personally enjoy the whimsy of the OG films, but I think that...
Does that fit in with that's the thing.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Yeah, for me, I think, like, the way the films were going, they inevitably had to get darker as time went on, and like because obviously I was saying like it would be interesting to see what Christopher Columbus would have done with this, because I admit I struggle to imagine it's possible that's why he ended up not making the kind of later films, because I struggle to imagine how he would have made this plot work with his tone. So for me, but I think where I just okay.
No, I was just going to say, to be fair, just a quick counter. The Chamber of Secrets again
Oh yeah, you said that could have been.
That's pretty dark. You could have made the Chamber of Secrets with this tone, I believe.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So yeah, but for me, I mean, obviously, I do think like a tone thing. As much as you said, like, oh, it's objectively better. I think it's quite difficult to argue that a tone, like a preference for a tone, isn't quite a subjective preference.
Now, this. I think this is quite objective because if like this is inherently like quite a dark story. You think about the like Harry Potter as a character. Like he's this figure of courage and light amongst like the darkness, and he stands up for what is good, etc., against the evil around him. And therefore, if you make everything around him feel more evil, then I think that in terms of the overall story of Harry Potter, it enhances it. I think it's definitely the kind of movie you want to see.
The only like counter I'd have to that is like you've got like Disney films which have like kind of dark elements to them. So I don't know whether it's necessarily true that like
what?
Because a film, well, I don't know, like fucking I'm trying to like think of like, I mean, they're all about kind of like murder and like orphans and stuff, like Snow White's like family or like mum dying and like what's her face, Sleeping Beauty is gonna get stabbed by a poison spinning wheel because the queen hates her.
Yeah, well, you're giving examples, but those movies aren't as good as this one.
I guess I see what you're saying, but I mean, I like those movies. I mean, I like Dumbo, but that's a dark movie. The thing is, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I feel like I'm happy for the movies to be quite whimsical. I don't think, because while yes, there are like scary things and stuff like that, there's also an aspect of, hey, it's about a boy who goes to a wizard school, and I think that
you can
like
have
me personally,
in the first movie. I agree. I agree, but obviously, I wouldn't say right from the word go. You start with the darker tone.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
By the second movie, you can.
I will say, I mean, what I think would be good overall is if it wasn't quite such a massive change. I think it would have been good overall, and this isn't really a particular comment on this film because obviously, like I say, the Chamber of Secrets would have had to have done this too, but like if it did kind of get gradually darker film by film, I think that would have been, if we're talking about objective things, that would have been really good, because yeah, I agree with you that the first one really benefited from being whimsical.
Yeah, but I don't really like, I don't think this is really that whimsical a story in truth, and I think the nice elements, the elements which we see throughout the movie, like Harry riding on Buckbeak, for instance, that moment is enhanced because of the overall darkness of what is happening.
So there's like a, what's the word, juxtaposition.
Yeah, exactly. There's a good juxtaposition, a good contrast. And I think we can see from the movies that came after, they stuck with this tone and it was the right thing to do. We're going to get into the differences to the book now, Michael, because we talked about why this movie was a better adaptation, or in my opinion, a better movie than The Chamber of Secrets, for instance. And one of the reasons, as we said, was the tone, and another reason is the differences regarding the book, because there was quite a few. So and basically, my overall point is they cut a lot of stuff from the book.
Yeah, because like the book was longer and this film is shorter. So
yes, so
I'd be interested actually when they added anything. That would be
we'll go into it here. They added a couple of things, but not like plot points. So The Prisoner of Azkaban was at the time the series' longest book. Of course, that changed. The increasing plot complexity necessitated a looser adaptation of the book's finer plot lines and backstory. Yes, which is, again, maybe The Chamber of Secrets could have used a bit of that thinking. The connection between Harry's father and the Marauders map is only briefly mentioned. Again, that's fine. As is Remus Lupin's association to the map. Additionally, it was never mentioned who the Marauders were, or who the nicknames Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs referred to. Again, that's factual. We don't need that.
That's just, what's the word? That's just like extra lore.
Yeah.
Save that for the Potterverse. What was that thing called that she made? Pottermore, that was what it was called.
Yeah.
You know what, actually, there was one really interesting thing relating to that. I was kind of expecting, and like this wouldn't have added anything at all to it, but for some reason I thought it was going to be there, and I don't know why. Like maybe it is from the book. Like after Professor Lupin, like kind of right at the end, says goodbye and he like hands Harry the map, I was expecting him to go after him. I can't remember what like Lupin's name is. I'm just going to assume he's Tong or whatever. Like, and Harry would have been like, hey, Tongs. You're like basically just acknowledging that Lupin was one of the original Marauders. I was expecting it to be acknowledged briefly.
Well, I mean, look, one of the nicknames is Moony.
Yes. Oh, and he's Moony. Yeah. So obviously he's Moony guy. That would make sense because he's a werewolf. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah.
Oh, so he was like a werewolf from birth, I guess is the implication. Or like not, but like he was a werewolf when he was like a teenager. Okay.
Maybe.
Anyway, yeah. But yeah, I agree with you, like certainly, because I can imagine there would have been long, drawn out conversations in the book, which is obviously not what I'm suggesting would have been, added anything.
Yeah, I imagine Padfoot is Sirius.
Yes, because dogs have pads on their feet.
Yeah, and prongs, who the fuck knows. Right, anyway, so the Shrieking Shack and Scabbers the Rat are mentioned only very briefly in the film, while they receive more thorough coverage in the novel. Again, that's fine, really. Scabbers is mentioned enough. Ron, every so often Ron mentions him, which is good. Exactly what you should do. Good stuff from.
And then, like, also, like, what's the word? Like, it's efficient because they're kind of using it to get at the sort of back and forth thing that Hermione and Ron have going. Obviously, they've got that kind of frenemy situation that they've had since the first film.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff is good.
Yeah, which is like that's something I really value in like adaptations is like when there's efficiency.
Yes,
where it's like you can tell an adaptation is trying to do more than one thing at once.
But you didn't value that in Chamber of Secrets, did you?
Efficiency. Well, I don't know how many. I don't know how many times there were opportunities.
Well, they should have made opportunities. Most of Sirius Black's backstory is also cut.
You mean Black story?
Yeah, with no mention of how he escaped from Azkaban. Again, that's fine. It's better that we don't know. It keeps things more mysterious. Absolutely fine. Great choice.
I demand a Shawshank Redemption style spin-off.
On account of pace and time considerations, again, they considered these things, which they should have for the previous movie. The film glosses over detailed descriptions of magical education. Only one hippogriff, Buckbeak, is seen, and only Draco and Harry are seen interacting with the hippogriff. Most other lessons, including all of Snape's potions, classes were cut from the film. Again, that's fine. The Fidelius Charms complicated description is removed entirely from the film, with no explanation given of how Sirius is supposed to have betrayed the Potters to Lord Voldemort. Again, that's fine. Why do we need that? He just betrayed them. That's it. You don't need anything more detailed than that. Many of the scenes lines are redistributed amongst Cornelius Fudge and Maverna McGonagall. That's Professor McGonagall. Why don't they just call her that? That's
something which I know like a lot of things do. Where like in I know this was like a big thing in Game of Thrones as well. Like basically, so I guess any kind of lore heavy book in the books you often have like multiple different characters who all reveal various kind of world related situations or information. Whereas obviously in the adaptation they're like, well, we don't want to hire another actor. But but like obviously from a storytelling perspective, it's objectively better to have just one or like a handful of characters who reveal all that information rather than needing to set up all these other characters who reveal all this information anyway.
Yes, and McGonagall's exposition of the Animagus transformation is instead given by Snape, which makes sense. That's good. So in the book, Gryffindor also win the Quidditch Cup for the first time in the series, a rather significant character development subplot that is almost completely omitted from the film. Which, again, it doesn't really fit with the film. There's no reason why that should be in the film from a plot perspective,
Yeah. Especially, I mean, like, the one, like, Quidditch scene they have isn't a very triumphant scene. So, like, that's why it wouldn't work. Because obviously with the first two films, well, certainly the first film, the big Quidditch victory is a big deal. Mm-hmm. In, like, this film, there's no, like, happy Quidditch moment. So it'd be weird to have, like, a happy Quidditch overall plot. Yeah,
you're also introducing Quidditch. In the first movie, you don't need to introduce it here. So so therefore, it will just clutter up the movie. Only the first Quidditch match of the school year is part of the film's narrative, and there are no other mentions of the sport or the Gryffindor team's successful campaign for the cup. The final scene before the credits shows Harry on his new broomstick, the Firebolt, as a known gift from Sirius after his aided escape from captivity, whereas in the book, the new broomstick is an anonymous gift mid-year from Sirius. That is examined by the Hogwarts staff for safety and security reasons before it eventually is given to Harry for use in pursuit of the Cup Championship. Again, like I think that's a nice idea. Harry gets a Firebolt. Who's it from? Who gave this to him? Like, that could be intriguing as a mystery, and add to things. But of course, then you'd have to have, then you'd have to include all the stuff regarding, the Quidditch Cup.
Like, obviously, also, if you were to introduce, which obviously this would be changing it, but introduce, like, the idea that maybe the broom is suspicious, that wouldn't really work, because they already did the kind of hexed broom thing in the first film.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, they already did that whole thing with Snape, so another broom-related mystery, we don't need that.
Yeah, and it's a nice way to end the movie. He gets a Firebolt. That's a nice way to end things. So, the romantic connection between Ron and Hermione is more prominent in the film than the book. So this is one of the things...
Because J.K. Rowling's not a pedo?
What?
I don't know. I mean, that's the only logical conclusion I had.
Yeah,
like, she doesn't ship little boys and girls.
So there is more character development compared to the book. Again, according to this, in Wikipedia. So basically, there was criticisms. The first two films sacrificed character development for mystery and adventure, and the emotional development of all three lead characters is given more attention in the third film, which again is the right thing to do. If it's all mystery, and again, you could say, well, they did that because the actors were young. It's much easier to have them go.
To be fair, that is a good point. I think it was a good idea to save the character stuff until later on.
Yeah.
Based on that, but yeah.
All this mystery and adventure, we can have the characters just, do that instead of the actors actually trying to act, trying to, show the emotions of the characters. It's not easy for an 11-year-old to do that. But now that they're like 13, 14, okay, that becomes easiher.
Just have him cry under his invisibility cloak. It'll be okay. Yeah. Daniel Radcliffe can't cry on command.
Yes. Obviously the lead characters were given more attention, but any mention of Harry's crush on Cho Chang is removed.
Oh, yeah, because I think I remember there's examples where and I know Lavender Brown, there's lots of kind of side characters who don't get any attention, are actually introduced way earlier in the books than in the films, but they're not relevant.
They appear. She first appears in the fourth film, which again makes more sense because a big part of the fourth film is
racism.
Sorry?
I think I just said racism.
Oh.
Voldemort, he is a wizard Nazi.
Yeah, they're going on dates and whatever in that prom thing, whatever.
Yeah, the Yule Ball.
The Yule Ball. There we go. So Prisoner of Azkaban also shows a darker tone and more of Harry's emotions, again, which is more interesting. That's good. We like that. For instance, after learning of Black's betrayal of Harry's parents, he shouts in anger, "I'm going to kill him," whereas in the book, he's too stunned to move.
In the books, he says, "Oh, tiddly bums."
Yeah, that's that rage inside Harry, which you can always sense with his character, which of course makes sense given what he does in the books. Yeah, so him lashing out like that makes sense. I think overall these changes, again, they're the little changes regarding character.
Yeah, a lot of them are small. Yeah.
Yeah, character development, but they're better. Cuarón and the screenwriters understood. You need to delve into these characters more, and it was the right time to do it now the actors were getting older. So just a bit more on the character development. So producer David Heyman found that tonally and stylistically, Cuarón was the perfect fit. As his first exercise with the actors, Cuarón assigned Radcliffe, Grint and Watson to write an essay.
I know about this story, but yeah.
An essay about the character, written in the first person, including the character's emotional experiences. Cuarón recalls Emma's essay was 10 pages long, Daniel's was exactly 2. Rupert didn't deliver the essay. When I questioned why he didn't do it, he said, "I'm Ron. Ron wouldn't do it." So I said, "Okay, you do understand your character." And Rupert Grint, maybe...
Yeah, what a cheeky guy. Now I want to be, if I'm ever going to be cast as a young schoolboy, which, is... I've still got it in me. I'm going to make sure that it's a stupid young schoolboy.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, Emma's essay was 10 pages long.
Yeah, what a nerd.
What a nerd. Both of them, what a nerd, honestly. And Daniel's was exactly 2. That's perfect. Yeah, it fits so well. And that's part of the success of the franchise, I guess, was the 3 actors did kind of embody perfectly the characters, and I guess that's what they did at the casting, right? They were like, oh well, it's going to be hard for these kids to act, so let's just find 3 kids.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
3 kids which are most similar to the actual characters, and forget the acting. So Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle lauded the film's more mature tone and said it was darker, more complex, rooted in character. Yes, I would certainly agree compared to the previous 2 movies. The Hollywood Reporter called the film a deeper, darker, visually arresting, and more emotionally satisfying adaptation. Yes, all of these things are true, which is crazy, given that someone, on this podcast gave Chamber of Secrets a 9 out of 10 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, you got to bear in mind that this movie, it's not got a Chamber of Secrets in it.
Yeah, I got into that later. But yeah, so sorry, I just missed this last bit. So the Hollywood Reporter called the film a deeper, darker, visually arresting, and more emotionally satisfying adaptation, especially compared to the first 2 installments.
Oh, I see. So, and what paper was this written for? The Daily Mail, the Daily Express.
Yes, again, it is so obviously better than the first 2. It's streamlined, and again, I don't mean to pick on you, Michael,
opinion,
for your wrongness, for your stupidity, shall we say? But it's more streamlined. The tone is better. We go more into the characters, and this is despite the fact that I don't think the plot arguably is or could potentially be as interesting as the Chamber of Secrets. So it just shows how important, adapting things are.
Yes, let's get into the script now.
So Harry Potter spends another summer with the Dursleys. On his 13th birthday, Vernon's visiting sister, Marge, insults Harry and his parents, and angry Harry causes her to inflate and float away. I mean, why is he still living there?
I was thinking that. This is the most intense the attitude from, or like how mean she is, basically. Like, she's really like, hey, your dead parents suck, you asshole.
I know.
It's just like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, that's just what it's like, I guess.
Yeah, and I think, again, the first two movies more kid-friendly. This one's dark. Like, the caricature of this, English middle-class family doesn't work as well with the overall...
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It fails to suspend your disbelief a bit.
Yeah, you're going for a grittier tone. It's like, okay, this character just seems kind of out of place. But it's at the start, so, you can move on. So, he takes that bus thing. I don't know if you've got anything to say about that.
No, I just wrote, so obviously, like you pointed out, it doesn't make any sense logically.
Yeah.
But I do like the it's kind of a fun aspect of the world building. Like, I think there's some aspects of the world building that are stupid, but there's also maybe even aspects that are stupid, but at the same time are kind of just like, I like that. Like, it feels kind of creative. I mean, it's not exactly massively creative, but and I imagine a lot of the stuff, like the random Jamaican shrunken heads, are probably, I don't know, knowing J.K. Rowling, maybe she did say, maybe their names are like Rasta McWeed Face, McWeed Smoker.
Wow.
But yeah, but basically, just pretty obvious thing. Like, it's kind of a fun scene, like a fun. I mean, of course, you could say tonally a bit whimsy. So there we go. Maybe that's why I like it. I was like, yeah, I liked when the shrunken heads were talking Jamaican.
I'm not sure it's that whimsical, but it's kind of whimsy. So reuniting with his best friends Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger, Harry learns that Sirius Black, a convicted supporter of Lord Voldemort, has escaped Azkaban prison and intends to kill him. Yeah, I know. And that's the thing. Well, let's talk about, I guess, the mystery. But we kind of have already, because, that's the whole plot. But it is a good mystery overall, this guy. It's this criminal, Sirius Black, has escaped from prison, but he is actually a good guy. And, I think it's decent. It's a decent twist. The reveal is, I would say, not well executed.
But I think, like, the reveal, like, one, it takes the form of a bit of a monologue, which isn't great.
It's contrived, I'd say.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and like, there's a lot of stuff with the language. I will say, this is something which, I kind of suspect you'll disagree with, but I'm going to say it anyway. I wonder whether or not, like, it would have been good if they, in some way in the earlier films, and this isn't really a criticism of this film, to be fair, but they had some kind of hint about, like, Sirius Black, or, like, there was somebody who betrayed, like, maybe when Hagrid in, like, the first film, like, told Harry the OG story about his parents, it was like, they were betrayed by one of their friends, and, like, that was just, like, mentioned casually. So that's more of a knock on the first two films for not setting up, but, it does affect because one of the things I liked about the second films, I feel like there was some stuff that was set up in the first film that was then reincorporated in the second film. That for me, just, like, if there was some precedent that made it a bit more satisfying, we're like, we're finding out about the guy who betrayed Harry's parents. It's a minor thing, but it would have just slightly enhanced my enjoyment of it, frankly.
Okay. I think, again, I don't want to compare this to the Chamber of Secrets over and over again.
Yes.
But I kind of do, actually.
I do too. So I can talk about how terrible it is.
Yeah. Because, again, I think about one of the things I praised in the Chamber of Secrets, well, it's not really to do with the movie. The actual mystery is quite intriguing. It's just not executed very well. And I think, again, this is an example of a mystery which isn't as...
It's not as intriguing, but it's executed better.
So therefore it's more satisfying, and therefore it's better. But yeah, again, I just think about they could have done a better job with the things in the last movie, because there was more potential with the Chamber of Secrets. But yeah, they executed things well here. Again, just the little, I mentioned with again, it's not directly related to Sirius Black, but with Lupin. Oh, look, he's scared of the full moon, and Snape getting everyone to learn about werewolves, and the constant mentions regarding scabbers. And,
I was thinking, one interesting thing about this is that it's kind of a case of there's lots of little mysteries, none of which are necessarily... Like, it wouldn't be that hard to separate the different mysteries. Like, you could imagine that you could have in any film, like, there's a teacher who's a werewolf, and, like, that's the mystery, and that's real. And, there's Sirius Black, and Ron's... So, like, obviously, the way they do bring those mysteries together, they are, of course, connected. But it's kind of interesting they go for... I mean, this is going to sound like a negative way of saying it, but in a way, kind of almost quantity over quality in terms of the nature. Obviously, the way they handle it's good, but in terms of the nature of the mysteries themselves, they introduce, lots of different mysteries.
Yeah, and I think when Harry finds out about his, or the fact that Sirius Black was his godfather and betrayed his parents and all of that, while he's under the invisibility cloak, that again it's spaced out properly. It's given proper attention, which is interesting because the thing is, one of the issues you have with this movie is you said we aren't given that much time to take in that Sirius murdered Harry's parents.
Well, yeah, so that's kind of related to what I already said about, like, I wish that it didn't establish prematurely, but, like, so the thing is, the amount of, like, what I said about how, like, they could have set up that Harry's parents were portrayed in one of the earlier films, but as far as being criticism of this film, my main issue is just that, like, so you mentioned how there's timings of, like, when the film starts to end at an hour and 20 minutes. I can't remember the exact timestamps, but what I do know is that there's only half an hour of runtime between finding out that Harry murdered the parents or being told that information and then finding out that that's not true at all.
That's fine. Half an hour is fine.
I don't know, but, like, in my head,
if there's nothing else that significantly happens in between those 2 points, then half an hour is fine, honestly. I'd say that's a long enough time. That's like, a quarter of the movie almost. Yeah,
well, I think my issue is that, because I get what you're saying, like in the grand schemes of a movie, that's actually quite big. But I think for me, because, like, Sirius Black is the main thing, the fact that we're not that emotionally invested in who Sirius Black is originally, because, like you kind of already said, it's not that interesting of a mystery. And for me, it's kind of like, when you find that out, you're like, oh, like, this is emotionally compelling. And based on that, I wish that it was emotionally compelling for more of the film, so I was more emotionally invested for the whole film.
I think it's fine. It's an escalation. It's a good escalation to have regarding the mystery. Like, why is Sirius Black even more important? Because he betrayed. Yeah. And it happens at a decent point in the movie. It doesn't happen, I think, too soon before the end. It happens like midway through the movie. Again, it's like it's fine timing. And again, this is coming from a guy who, in the Chamber of Secrets, was fine with all these plot developments happening one after the other regarding the mystery. It's like bam, 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 bam. Like
bam, bam, thank you, man.
Yeah, within a 20-minute period. And then, oh wow, okay, we're done. And you have a problem with this movie, which gives, I think, a decent amount of time between Sirius learning about, Sirius Black. Oh, he betrayed Harry's, parents. Oh, actually, he didn't. And that's it's kind of a contradiction there. What you say?
No, because I would say that, like, with Chamber of Secrets, I don't think, funnily enough on contradiction, I don't think, like, there's any moment where there's a development that immediately contradicts another development in the. Because what I'm saying is, like, here it's
that whole
like
thing about Hagrid. I can't remember.
Hagrid. Okay, yeah, Hagrid could have been the bad guy, and then
opened the chamber, and then they quickly find out, like, 10 minutes later, that's not the case.
Yeah, they do quite quickly. Yeah, okay, yeah, that is a fair point. But again, I guess, like, the only thing I'd say, and I know you're not gonna let me get away with not being called a hypocrite, but the one thing I would say is that for me wasn't as emotionally important for the film, because the one genuine criticism I have of Chamber of Secrets is that I think that they introduced and then abandoned the whole Tom Riddle's diary thing too quickly. And for me, that's because I really liked that as, like, an emotional kind of, like, oh, this is, like, a big moment. Harry's literally talking to Voldemort, but it is literally, like, he has one scene with him, and then, like, literally the next scene, it's like, oh, he's been taken away. And that is one of my main criticisms of Chamber of Secrets, and that is comparable, so...
Yeah, I guess.
But you can still call me a hypocrite because I don't complain about it that much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just think there's no complaints with this movie, for me anyway, regarding the pacing of the mystery, and there are several with the Chamber of Secrets. But anyway, we'll get on to the next stage now. So, of course, Harry goes back to Hogwarts, and the Hogwarts Express is boarded by Dementors. One enters Harry's compartment, causing him to faint, but the new defense against the dark arts teacher, Remus Lupin... Wait, what is wolf in Latin?
Oh, so it's like lupus, yeah. Oh. So that is like a big nominative determinism situation, as they call it in the business.
How does J.K. Rowling do it?
I know, it's so funny. Like, is that? I mean, I know there's like the whole like what is it, like Darth Vader is father thing, which you obviously see in Star Wars. So she didn't invent it, but it is hilarious how much she does it.
Yes.
I also do like the fact, like, this is a complete aside, but it's just while we're on the subject, I love the fact that the spells are literally just like Latin words, often like barely. Like, I like the fact that the spell that makes something ridiculous is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you just pronounce it slightly differently, like ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. It's
but no, yeah,
it's all bullshit.
We know her name situation.
Yeah, and the names especially stand out. Yeah. So the Dementors, of course, these are introduced in Prisoner of Azkaban, and they are, and like, of course, the movie can't be blamed because this is something that, of course, is integral.
J.K. Rowling. Oh wait,
it's integral to the books. I was going to say this is a J.K.
Yes.
Rowling idea, so therefore, it's hard to say, the Dementors are stupid. Like, why are you having them protect the school? But it is stupid, and therefore,
the thing is, what bothers me, and again, obviously, this isn't something I would expect in the adaptation, because I mean, apart from anything else, this is one of those types of movies where like they wouldn't they would crucify you if you tried to adapt it substantially, because there are like adaptations that sometimes really, I mean, like the Shining, for example, or like a Clockwork Orange, where they quite fundamentally change it, but again, it's because you don't have a load of fangirls on Tumblr talking about how much they love it.
Also, the Dementors are a really important concept to the whole
that is true,
Harry Potter. It'd be impossible to take them out,
Yeah, well, what I was thinking, like, I don't really think that it would be that difficult to have the Dementors in the context of this film, like certainly the way this film shows them. You could quite easily have them just be servants of Voldemort, and that would make more sense. Because sure, you couldn't have like Dumbledore like warning about them and blah blah, but you could have like, because they're on a train. You could even imagine maybe outside of school grounds, and it's like the train gets attacked by Dementors. What are Dementors? Oh, they're servants of Voldemort. And then like they show up at the Quidditch match. I think like maybe the only thing there would be like that Hogwarts is supposed to be enchanted. But...
So servants of Voldemort are attacking the kid, and everything just continues as normal then.
Well, I mean, I guess
they're
so.
Outside of school,
crazy,
and everything just continues as normal.
Right.
And they.
Well, so what I would do is I would not have them be outside the school. I would have them be like a thing that randomly shows up, like maybe
then what the fuck is
3 times a shot.
Well, the reason why they're there is because of Sirius Black, and so like then therefore Sirius Black can get into Hogwarts quite easily then. You're not thinking about this.
No. I mean, like, sure, like you could introduce something. I might have to think about it for a second, but I don't believe I'm going to put my hand on my heart and say that I believe that if I were given a good amount of time to think everything through, I could, without making significant changes, make it so the Dementors are not basically on the side of protecting Harry or like protecting against Sirius Black.
The Dementors are agents of Azkaban, though. That's the whole fucking point. The Dementors.
Well, you can just change. They don't have to be agents of Azkaban.
Okay, they don't have to be. Okay, again, you're just changing everything now. Again, you're ripping up like the fundamental aspects of the story.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I mean, so you're not gonna like. The thing is, I like literally had like a load of thoughts towards the end about like a thing I would do differently, which I guess you're not gonna have any interest in because it also involves ripping up a fundamental aspect of the story. But I'm gonna bring it up later anyway.
I mean, you can do, but you're talking.
No, like I'm not saying like as a criticism exactly. I'm just saying.
You're talking like a massive change, and you haven't really thought it through, and just throwing it back. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. But you'd have to change so much of the story.
Well, look, I mean, let's just focus on the important thing, which is that it is definitely dumb that these Dementors, which clearly present a massive threat to students. I mean, like, can I just say this? And I think we need to say this because the anniversary of George Floyd was a little while ago, like a few days ago. What are black people complaining about in the US? Like, do they have any idea what, like, sure, but there hasn't been a cop who's eaten a little kid's soul when he was just trying to play sports.
I don't know.
As far as I know.
Cops are quite bad.
That is true.
So Rubius Hagrid is appointed care of magical creatures teacher.
Yes, he is.
But the first class goes wrong when Draco Malfoy. Oh god, the one thing you didn't want to happen.
That's really funny.
Draco Malfoy provokes a hippogriff named Buckbeak into attacking him. Yeah, again, it's a cool scene with Harry riding the hippogriff, and again, was what I talked about before. There is some, what Dumbledore says. It's a nice line. Like in the darkest moments, there can still be light, or whatever he says. When he's giving his opening speech.
Yes.
And yeah, like you see Harry celebrating. On that fucking hippogriff. Yeah, that's he's got his arms stretched out.
Yeah, like yeah. He goes, woo!
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the king of the world.
That's what he says. He doesn't say that. Yeah, again, that's I guess the fundamental aspect of Harry Potter. It's like this world is kind of dark and horrible, but hey, we can still enjoy things. We can still enjoy like this magic. We can still like enjoy, I guess, the friendship that he has, etc. Oh, and that scene illustrates that, I guess, mentality pretty well. So yeah, I do like that scene because tonally it's good and fits in, I think, thematically with the overall Harry Potter kind of world. Harry, after leaving the infirmary, is caught trying to visit Hogsmeade by Fred and George, who give him the Marauders map.
Yes.
It's quite a convenient plot device, but I'm fine with it because this thing accelerates the plot. It's not the craziest thing ever. So using the map, Harry sneaks into Hogsmeade and learns that Black is his godfather, but divulged the Potters' whereabouts to Voldemort and murdered their mutual friend Peter Pettigrew. Again,
Oh, no.
this is what I put. We already kind of talked about this. This is a nice escalation of the mystery. You know, I like how it builds over the course of the movie. Harry finds out about more stuff regarding Sirius Black, and also, you know, the fact that he betrayed his parents. Okay, so now the stakes are increased. Now he wants to kill him, as he says, of course, to Hermione. And again, yeah, I just put as well. There's
Would it be crazy if Harry did actually just straight up murder someone in cold blood in the third film?
Yeah, that'd be.
It's just like, oh wow, that okay, Alfonso.
Yeah, there is no rush. There is no rush. And that's what I like about it. Is it takes its time. Again, these are the kind of stuff. It's just night and day between this and Chamber of Secrets, man. It's just night and day. I'm sorry to keep harping on about that, but it really is. So, determined to ward off the Dementors, Harry convinces Lupin to teach him the Patronus charm. There we go. And yeah, in general, the Patronus charm is a pretty cool thing. You know, again, like
and it works like in terms of storytelling.
Yeah.
Because like it's about emotion.
Yeah, and also I want to say Lupin and Harry have a really nice relationship in this movie. Like I think people talk, of course, about Harry and Dumbledore, of course, as you know, Harry is the student, Dumbledore's his mentor. Which you know could have gone a bit wrong considering Dumbledore's sexual tendencies.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Did you?
Why can't a gay guy just molest kids in these?
Oh god, no. So yeah, so you need. I don't know if Lupin's straight, but I assume he would be. So yeah. You need a nice.
Yeah, although you know, like apparently according to J.K. Rowling, like being a werewolf is a. Do you know about this? It's a metaphor for being HIV positive.
What the fuck is wrong with her?
Because like the logic is the logic is that it's like a disease in your blood, just like having HIV is a disease in your blood. Pretty
great.
I mean, they're basically the same.
Great. Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And it does turn you into. And there's also like apparently there's like a piece of extended lore about a about a werewolf who used to trick other men into becoming werewolves too. Like he like secretly inject them with his blood or something.
Wow.
Like that's actually like a thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can find out while you can talk about whatever.
So the HIV implications then are quite homophobic then.
Yeah, wait.
Yes.
HIV werewolf villain. Let's see.
Harry Potter. Yeah, okay. Wow. Yeah, so that's just what gay people did. They tricked other men into having sex with them and gave them AIDS. Just like apparently people did in the Harry Potter universe with werewolf blood. Yeah. Okay, so I just want to say the scenes between Lupin and Harry are really good. They have a nice relationship. I enjoyed those scenes quite a lot. And yeah, I think that is again another great addition with this movie, the character of Lupin and...
Oh, yeah, okay, here it is, sorry. Fenrir Greyback. He was a leader in his community and strived to infect as many people as possible with lycanthropy, and he was known for his general savagery and preference for children.
Wow. Oh my God. J.K. Rowling... This is from J.K. Rowling, right?
Yeah, Fenrir Greyback. I guess it's from like that, like Pottermore, that website where she just added a load of lore stuff.
So this is directly from her?
Yeah.
She is... Wow. She is fucking nuts. Like,
do you think wait, this is the picture of him. Do you think he looks gay?
Okay, let
I mean, he looks pretty normal. Like, I mean, he's done something with his hair, but...
Oh, him. Yeah. I mean, yeah. The homophobic implications are startling, honestly.
Yeah.
And again, that's another... I didn't know about this before today, but wow, that woman, she's on one. Anyway, so watching Buckbeak's execution... Ron's pet Scabbers bites him and escapes, but a large black dog drags them both into a hole at the base of the Whomping Willow. And again, this, we're at the end, the final day, and again, we're 1 hour, 20 minutes into the movie, or you may be right, maybe 1 hour, 25 minutes. But yeah, it's crazy how quickly we get to the end. It's crazy. But again, there's so much to go through regarding the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I actually have a positive right away. Just because I said like I like things being reincorporated. This isn't like exactly reincorporated, but I like the fact that the Whomping Willow was something that was obviously introduced, and you were just like, oh yeah, that makes it. Like it's so the thing I really like in Chamber of Secrets is how like when Harry can talk to snakes in the first one, you're like, oh okay, yeah, that's just like a thing that's there. Like he's a wizard, obviously, wizards, I'm sure it makes sense. They can just talk to snakes, you don't really think anything of it. And then in the second film, it's like, no, actually, that's a big deal. I like that, obviously, in the second film, the Whomping Willow is introduced, and then the one question would be, well, why is the Whomping Willow there? And here, you're like, oh, it's got a secret passageway underneath it. It's like, I guess, I don't know if this is why it's there, but it's like, it works as an explanation for why you'd have this big, fighty tree. It's protecting this passageway to this haunted house. Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's just something I liked.
Yeah, okay. That's good, yeah. So this leads the trio through an underground passage into the Shrieking Shack, where the dog is revealed to be Sirius Black. And yeah, Lupin, of course, then appears, embracing Black as an old friend. Okay, this bit right here isn't contrived because, Lupin, he's Harry's mentor, and, him supposedly turning on him, is a nice twist because it isn't contrived because he's like saying, "Oh, Sirius Black, it's so good to see you," etc.
Yes,
like,
yes.
That is a natural response which, you, another human, would have to another human. Yeah, and it, of course, also makes sense for Hermione, Ron, and Harry to be shocked, with Lupin. And, like, oh, has he turned on us? And the audience is shocked. So, yeah, it's a nice twist. That all works very well. Then things go badly. And this is when it gets into the area of, oh, yeah, this is a very, again, to use that word again, contrived. So, Lupin and Black are like, all right, let's kill him.
Yes, of course, which is what you would say. You would say him.
Yeah, they don't say a name. They just say, let's kill him. Black is like, I waited 13 years in Azkaban. I want to kill him. Lupin says, very well. Both, of course, are aware that Harry thinks that Sirius Black wants to...
like there's no reason for it.
Sirius Black wants to kill him. Yet, they don't explain things. How are, especially Lupin, he should say, oh, sorry, Harry, not you. No, we mean someone else. Again, it's so, again, contrived. And, yeah, then Lupin also seems quite menacing towards Hermione when Hermione's like, you're a werewolf.
He's like, you're a bright witch indeed, aren't you, little girl?
Yeah, and then he snarls at her. He's like, well done, Hermione, Yes. And instead he's like, oh, aren't you so smart? Like, Jesus Christ.
Aren't you smart, you little bitch?
Yeah. He doesn't...
You fucking arsehole.
He calls her a witch, not a bitch. But
oh, sorry, I misheard.
Yeah.
Intrusive thoughts.
It's just like, come on, man. You gotta... I know you're trying to up the tension, but it's just, you gotta make things a bit more realistic, because it's just like, you're rolling your eyes.
Yeah, it fries your beans.
Yeah, knowing what the actual, what they're actually saying, what the actual context is with Lupin and Sirius Black and why they're there. Again, Snape then arrives to apprehend Sirius Black, and yet Lupin and Black, again, well, this is after, of course.
Yeah, so he said Peter Pettigrew.
Yeah, so it's been established they want to kill Peter Pettigrew. Okay, so then, of course, Snape comes in, out of nowhere, and, he says, oh, you're coming with me, Sirius Black, Yeah,
you little cunt.
Yeah, and again, Lupin and Black don't explain why they're there. Snape... Yeah. Of course, Snape might not believe them, but at least they should try and explain why they are in this room right now. Like, come on. It's just it's one of the most frustrating things, and of course we've talked about this a lot, and other, reviewers talk about this when talking about movies. It's like when characters can explain things, misunderstandings that, if explained, would remove the tension. Okay, then it's bad writing. Then you don't have characters just be morons. Just to increase the tension. Just okay. So you gotta do something else here. But yeah, they should say, oh no, Snape, we're here to kill Peter Pettigrew, who was the one that really betrayed Harry's parents. And again, Snape might not believe them, but at least say it. And they don't. And then of course, Harry does that thing. What did he do to Snape?
He does Expelliarmus.
Expelliarmus.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have like a really, really minor criticism, but I'm going to say it anyway.
There should be a nitpick then.
Well, yeah, I suppose you're right, but who cares? So basically, I like the fact that Snape is kind of like a dignified character. Like, I kind of like the idea of Snape as this guy who is a bit of a dick, but he's a good guy. And I always thought it was kind of like undignified the way Harry like screws him over. And I would just do like one little thing which I think would make it better, which is that while they're like talking, and I know you're probably like, this would change things slightly. Basically, I would have it so they have the whole Peter Pettigrew conversation, and then while they're talking, we see Ron's rat like sneak off, and then it's Peter Pettigrew who appears and accosts Snape, and then it's like, because then you don't have to have like this, because it always seems a bit weird to me that like Harry is like, yeah, I'm just gonna, like, considering he's already had like the experience in like the first one where he like finds out Snape's trying to protect him. I just always thought it never, and I was like, wouldn't that be like maybe a better way to introduce Peter Pettigrew? Because then he would seem like not so pathetic. But again, it would, like, I'm not saying it's like an objective criticism or objective improvement. I'm just like, oh yeah, I think if I were in charge of it, that's what I'd do. Mm-hmm. J.K. Rowling's original vision be damned.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, yeah, you could do a lot of different things with that scene. Maybe that's an avenue you could go down. But yeah, I'm definitely open to rewriting whatever J.K. Rowling wrote, because this just doesn't work, unfortunately. This is another thing.
I don't know whether or not this whole pronouns. That's a funny thing. I meant like pronouns in terms of like the ambiguity, but that's funny considering recent things. But I don't know whether or not that's in the. In the original.
I imagine it is. Like I'd be surprised if it wasn't. So obviously Pettigrew then is turned back into human form. And the thing is, Sirius Black wants to kill him, even though Pettigrew is his alibi, of course.
That's a good point. He would look like a right. Then it would be like, oh my god, Sirius Black has come back and he's murdered Peter Pettigrew.
Yes,
that's how terrible he is.
Yes,
like he so evilly brought Peter Pettigrew back to life only to murder him again.
Yes, and the thing is, of course, it makes sense. Like, why is he trying to get into Hogwarts? It's so he can capture Peter Pettigrew, and Peter Pettigrew is with Ron because he's like, oh well, the safest place to be is Hogwarts, because of course that's when all the Dementors are there, so I'm just going to stay next to Ron. So, and
he's a paedophile,
and he is also a paedophile. Yes, that is also true, unfortunately. But the thing is, of course, Sirius Black, he's like, his mission is not to get Harry, but to get Ron, so he can get Peter Pettigrew. That's what he's trying to do. But I don't know if the thing is, of course, Lupin thought that Peter Pettigrew was dead until recently, as he said. Does Sirius Black know that? Because if he doesn't, then why is he trying to get into Hogwarts? The full, and that's of course Harry. Says, hey, don't kill him. We're gonna exonerate Sirius by, of course, giving Pettigrew over to the authorities, which again Lupin and Sirius don't think about, but this 13-year-old kid apparently. He knows he knows what the smartest thing to do is. So the full moon causes Lupin to transform into a werewolf, of course, and Pettigrew escapes. Black transforms into his animal form and fights the werewolf, who seriously injures Black. Again, like it's so again, this is in the book, so it's like, oh, what can you do? But Lupin didn't take his werewolf potion, did he?
Yeah, like again, it would be kind of nice if there was some kind of explanation for why, which again would require making the film longer, but if you could somehow like have a scene of Lupin like frantically looking for something earlier, like implying he's lost something, and then when he doesn't turn, you can be like, oh, he lost it. Like just something little like that, where it's like there's a moment earlier on where you're like, oh wait, that explains the thing. That would be quite nice, I think.
Yeah. Learning that Black has been captured and sentenced to the Dementor's Kiss, Harry and Hermione act on Dumbledore's advice and use Hermione's Time Turner.
Oh, good. What time is it? Oh, good. Looks like I'll be having a late night tonight.
No, I mean, again, it's shit. Like, how did they get out of this one? Well, apparently Hermione has a time machine. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that will help. Just a bit. Yeah.
What's so funny about it, like, just if we're limiting our criticisms, because obviously a lot of it is obvious, is like the fact that they don't even bother, and by they, I guess I mean J.K. Rowling, don't even bother having any kind of limitations or rules to it whatsoever, to the point it's literally used for the most trivial thing in the world, Hermione just getting to be able to go to different lessons. Because I would compare it to, like, obviously you think about Avengers Endgame. Like, okay, the fact they introduced time travel is a bit dumb, but at least, like, there's a very clear reason why they did it. Like, yeah, like the last minute resource, and they're like, no, this is really serious stuff. And they also have rules about it. Like, you can't actually change the past. You just create a different reality so you can use those reality. That all makes sense. That's so far from what's the case here.
Yes. So, hey, Hermione, I know you wanted to take a lot of classes. Well, unfortunately, you can't do that unless we give you a time machine. Yeah, it's very dumb. It's just so dumb. It's just yeah.
Do you want to hear? I'll very briefly. I said I was like a quite radical change I would make. I'm going to tell you it now. Okay. It's actually, I can explain it quite quickly. The only thing is we don't have time for you to complain about it, I'm afraid. So I've always thought like it would be good if they had some kind of. And I'm not claiming this would be brilliant, but just bear with me. This is something I really haven't thought through at all. But I thought it would be good if they had in this film some kind of method for bringing Voldemort back. That was because obviously in the first two films you got the diary's going to bring him back, and then Stone's going to bring him back. And I was like thinking like, what could be? And I was like, oh, what about like there is some kind of time travel thing where it's like they're trying to bring Voldemort back. And then I was thinking like, what if Hermione like found the time travel thing, and like that's why? So it's not like she was given it. She found it, and in that way, like, sure, it would still be contrived, but at least you could have a thing where they're like, as soon as Dumbledore finds out about it, he's like, well, we should probably destroy it because, it was like Voldemort's trying to use it, and like, it's a bad thing you didn't hand it in, Hermione, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But, just because I'm cheeky Dumbledore, I like to help you guys out, you can go save Sirius Black. Like, I just think that would work better, and that was like a thing I was thinking, because I was like, in terms of the mystery, I was like, oh, it'd be nice if there was like an extra attention to it because there's some method for bringing Sirius Black that they're worried about, and like, I was like, oh, the method, sorry, bringing Voldemort back. Like, oh, maybe the method's like the time travel, and that's why Hermione has it, because maybe she like found it and she was using it
again,
to do lessons, but she wasn't supposed to be.
You're adding quite a lot of stuff here. But again, I'm kind of fine with it because again, you need to make something make sense more than what actually happens in the movie. Also, just a quick aside, the thing is, we didn't do this last time while reviewing the Chamber of Secrets. And we're talking about Hermione, so I think it's a good place to talk about it.
We're going to talk about... Oh, wait. Okay, what are we going to talk about?
No, because I asked this question in the Philosopher's Stone as a joke, and I said, I'm going to... In the Philosopher's Stone review, I'm going to ask it every time. We didn't ask it last time, but...
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was going to ask, is Hermione hot yet? Which, of course, is going to be a joke.
Yeah, of course.
Which is... Yeah.
Yeah, it's a joke.
So,
and anything we say is... I think she's really hot on Minecraft.
Oh, fucking... Right. So, is she hot in... The Chamber of Secrets, Michael, yes or no?
She's not hot in the Chamber of Secrets.
Hot yet. That's the crucial thing, hot yet.
Oh, so she's not hot yet in the Chamber of Secrets.
And what about Prisoner of Azkaban?
So are you going to force me to a binary here, or can I say, like, I can't, like, express it as, like, a spectrum, like, she's getting hotter?
I would on the...
If it's just, like, a binary...
Are you being serious right now?
No, I'm not. Okay. But, like, I'm just saying, like, all I'm saying now is, like, you know, obviously it's actually, because, you know, in the film, it's only been 1 year, but in real life, it's been 2 years. Like, compared to, like, so she was 12, I guess, in, like, Chamber of Secrets. Now, she's technically 2 years older. She's, like, basically 16.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying, Your Honor. Why are the Dementors around? I like it if, like, it's the exact same movie, except that Sirius Black needs to be rescued because he statutory raped Hermione.
What?
Dumbledore's like, I think you'll find more than one life could be saved today. Like, that's the plot.
Okay. No.
It's like, Harry, remember I told you that it's okay, and it's quite a formative part of somebody's sexual evolution.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just, you know, a nice little joke, and you just went off on one. Like,
I thought you'd appreciate, you know, everyone says that the best part about jokes is taking them too far.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You may have done that quite a bit then. So let's now get into the ending, of course, reliving the night's events and set Buckbeak free from exit.
Yeah. Oh, that is, I will say this, like, objectively speaking, that is quite satisfying the way they handle it, like the way everything goes
it's just
together.
bullshit.
Like, it's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame. Like, it's a shame they didn't think through the time travel stuff. Yes. Again, they being the singular person, J.K. Rowling.
Spotting the past Harry and Black being attacked by Dementors. Harry rescues them using a Patronus charm and realizes he was the unseen figure who saved them.
Who could have seen that
coming? The thing is, who could have seen it coming? But I like that in terms of Harry realizing, oh no, it's him. He's the one who has he has the power within himself. And again, the line after, I knew I could do it because I saw myself do it, is a shit. You don't need that line.
Yeah, well, but then you do get the like, you know, I believe they call it a meta joke where he's like, does that make sense? She's like, no. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if that's like a meta joke exactly. But, you know.
Yeah, just remove that. Just again, and it would be nice if it like, because of course he used the Patronus charm at the at some point in the movie, you know, with Lupin. And that right there, you know, indicated, oh, he could do it. But it would be good if throughout the movie there was a storyline that Harry didn't know whether he was as powerful as he should be, etc. And then in the final moment he realizes he is. And I don't know how you would incorporate that into the movie, but that would just make that final moment even better. Well,
like, obviously he's like struggling with the Patronus charm, but they don't really have him struggle that much.
We'll make it a storyline throughout the movie, so it's a bigger character moment when he succeeds. You know, again, you'd have to like do quite a lot of additions there regarding him being unsatisfied with how.
Yeah, but you got to bear in mind, like, the first two films are both 2 hours and 55 minutes. This is only 2 hours and 20. They had an extra half an hour to play with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could have added another storyline. Again, I'm just thinking about enhancing that final moment where he unleashes the Patronus charm. So anyway, of course, then Hermione and Harry free Sirius Black, who is in an unguarded cell. Because of course he is. Like, why would you put any guards around him? Considering,
like, that's the thing.
Yeah, he's not just recently broken out of like the.
Yeah, exactly. Biggest, like, imagine how annoyed you'd be if this guy, like, is a mass murderer, escapes from. Well, he's not a mass murderer. He only killed one person, which is crazy. Everyone like acts like he's like this big. Anyway.
Yeah.
Basically, like imagine you've like caught this guy, and then it's like, oh wait, he escaped.
Yeah.
A bunch of kids were able to do it.
Harry and Hermione return to the infirmary, rejoining their own timeline. And exposed as a werewolf, Lupin resigns. And Black sends Harry a firebolt broomstick, which he happily takes on a ride. And there we go. So a nice ending there. And we've had some interesting development with the plot overall. But it's I guess I'll conclude right now by saying it's a shame that the mystery was good. It was well done, well executed, well paced. Just at the end, there's just some some awful, bits of like, plot conveniences, plot devices, like misunderstandings to increase tension. Again, it's all just a bit scrappy at the end. And again, I think like I said at the start, that is in the book. And if you're Alfonso Cuarón or the screenwriters, you can't really do anything about that, unless you were to radically change things, which again, I don't think Rowling would be happy with. And again, you've got to think about all the books and everything, so it's impossible. But I honestly think, looking at this movie, they did, everyone did the best they could. Like, this is maximizing the material, elevating the material, and that that has to be applauded. It's no surprise people think this is the best Harry Potter movie because of that. I think I gave The Chamber of Secrets like a 6 out of 10. Again, I think it was underwhelming, disappointing. This one, again, it's not disappointing. It rather exceeds what I think it should have been. So I think I'm going to give this one, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, a 7.5 out of 10, which is probably going to be my highest rating for a Harry Potter movie, but we'll see. Go on, Michael.
So I think like part of this gets down to how one assesses the quality of a film, because you like the basic argument you're making is that in terms of the quality of the work of art in making the film from Alfonso Cuarón, and I agree that's really good. But of course the other issue is, or for me, like the question is, what about the overall quality? So I guess for me, I count like stuff that is there because of J.K. Rowling against the film a bit more than you would.
I mean, I am counting that too. That's why it's like not a 9 out of 10.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So I guess fine. You know what? Since you can't really reply, I'll say a thing where I imply that the Chamber of Secrets is better, and there's nothing you can do about it. For me, like one issue is that when I think about like Chamber of Secrets, if I had to think about what I would improve, there isn't that much. Whereas in the case of this film, there are like a lot of moments where I'd be like, and I know that you'd be like, oh, you're changing the whole film, but there's like a few moments where I'm just like, I would really do that differently.
You're crazy if you wouldn't change the Chamber of Secrets that much.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it very much at all.
Despite everyone thinking, the Chamber of Secrets was stuffed, the tone wasn't good, the pacing wasn't good, etc. You wouldn't change a thing.
I would, wouldn't change it. I mean, but the thing is with this film, like, I really wish like they would have added more to it, because I feel like this film with just a little bit more, because obviously the thing about Chamber of Secrets is that it is, like you say, stuffed, and yet at the same time, I'm always like, I don't know what I would take out of the Chamber of Secrets, which has always been my problem with the Chamber of Secrets, in terms of like, but yeah, sorry, I'm rounding. The point is that basically, for me, like this film is missing things, and I'm like, oh, there's a few more things I would just like to see, and that's always a bit frustrating. But I'm gonna give it, I think I'll give it a middling 7, basically same as what you gave it. I think that's what I'm feeling. So all of that is a roundabout way of saying I actually do just pretty much agree with you.
Yeah, okay. And again, the Chamber of Secrets is still the big disagreement then. So
yes,
of course, Michael, we guess what Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, was going to get Rotten Tomatoes. It ended up, I think, getting the exact same as Challenges, which was 88. Not a lot of change, honestly, because we guessed 85 and 84.
Looks like women are back in business, boys.
What?
Like, because like of the fact that like the movie's hated because it's got women in it.
Okay, sorry, it was 89 Rotten Tomatoes, whatever. The point is that you are now ahead by 18 instead of 17. Yeah, goodbye.
Goodbye.